roadside burning, for instance, we years ago we used to burn the roads quite regularly. Nothing to do 20 kilometres over a season, and the way we'd do it would be if we met somebody up the road, and what are you doing this evening? Oh, okay, we'll go and burn Joe Blow's frontage. So we go and do it, and there was no fuss or bother. All we had to do is notify the Shire 12 months ahead, say that we planned to do fuel reduction burning on the Shire roads as we saw fit, and that was acceptable. Now all the garbage we got to go through, we got to have a burn plan, and we got to have all the paperwork under the sun, and we can't burn any more than 500 metres at a time, and then we can't come back and join onto that. We've got to leave a gap, and the criteria for doing the burn makes it that way that it's very difficult to do a proper burn, and time we go through all that rigmarole, we've lost the time to do it, or the weather's changed. For instance, we had to have traffic management on the Bullimore Road, had a global traffic management they had to use, so we had to give them 24 hours notice, so which we did, and that night we had a shower of rain, and we had to cancel it at 7 o'clock in the morning, and but that afternoon a bit of a breeze come up. We could have done it, would have been a perfect afternoon to do it, but we were already cancelled, so we couldn't do it. So everything's stacked up against us for us not to do. And yet again, when we get a call out on a total fire ban, a hot northerly wind, things are really crook, no paperwork's done for that, we just go. But when we want to do a burn under our conditions, when we can know we can handle it, we got to go through all the crap under the sun. And I don't think it's nobody's fair dinkum enough to let us have a go. And plus the fact we always used it for training, burning the roads, and newcomers got used to fire behaviour, and next thing they knew what a fire was, and they could handle a back burn or whatever what was faced at them at a real fire. But now we've lost all that. We've got office Johnnies, I'm going to get ridiculed for saying this, that don't know fire behaviour. They go out in a fire tanker, and when it's cut loose, they don't know what struck them, and they got to back off, and then under the circumstance saying it's unsafe, we've got to look after our crew. But it's only because they don't know whether it's unsafe or not, so it's better to play safe, obviously, if they don't know, so they're better off out of the job. But if they get a bit of experience with doing burn-offs and bush blocks and everything, at least it makes it easier when you do get a wildfire, and it's not quite so daunting. Well, the reason why we either do bush burning regular or roadside burning, you get grass back into it, and there you can still do a cool burn any time, whereas you get the clobber that builds up, and when you go to burn it, it's a hot fire, and nobody wants a hot scorching fire, so it makes it very difficult to keep it a cool fire. Well, a cool fire doesn't scorch the trees, and the wildlife can get out of the road, and it just burns the litter on the ground without climbing up high and doing damage to the scrub. And it also reduces the regrowth that comes after a hot fire or anything. And a lot of the trouble now with these hot fires that gone through in 03, they should have been at Omeo, Benambra, they should have been doing the fuel reduction burn straight after that, 18 months after, when there's a lot of grass come. Now it's built up for about 11 or 12 years sort of thing, and it's a bigger hazard now than what it was before, because you've got all the dead timber that's fell down, and then the regrowths come up, and they're going to have a bigger fire now than what it was in the first time. Where if they'd gone back and burnt it within a couple of years, just a light fire through, when there's the grass there to carry it, I mean, the scrub takes over, chokes out the grass, and you've got to have a hot fire to to even get a burn through it.